and salutations. You are listening to the Into the North podcast, where we take a look at the competitive side of the Commander format, also known as CDH. I'm one of your hosts, Lyndon, aka Noobzors, and today I'm joined by my co-hosts, Reed, aka Sick Robot.
What's up?
And Morgan, aka Spleenface.
How's it going?
And in this episode, we will be doing a tier list of all the colors in CDH. Yeah, it's gonna be a doozy. But we'll try and keep things somewhat quick and not go for a 3-hour episode.
Yeah, we're incredibly late on the bandwagon, but by God, we're gonna get our tier list episode in.
Hey, tier list was like our second episode.
That's true. Wait, we're so ahead of the curve. Hold up.
Before we get into that, what have you guys been up to since the last episode? And before you guys say anything, I'm just gonna jump in and say, holy moly! So I was jamming. I think I spoke about last time playing Historic Dragonstorm into the metagame challenge and just cleaning up. So I decided to take Dragonstorm to some tournaments which are hosted by Insight Esports. Everyone should go check them out. They're a really cool esports organization, and everything's done through MTG Melee. But yeah, I decided to take it to some of their events, won some money, and then I found out today that Martin Juza wrote a Channel Fireball article where he covers the historic power level ratings, or power rankings, I guess. And he said that he put Dragonstorm as number 7, and he commented that it was a brand new list, and he gave credit to me saying my name, so that felt really cool. Definitely bragged a lot about it today in a lot of different Discord channels, but
Can confirm.
Yeah,
just clogging up every possible Discord channel.
maybe we can throw an image of that onto the YouTube, or throw a link to the article or something in the podcast.
So for context, we were like considering, just scrapping this section of the podcast, or at least like not having it be something we asked every time, because like often we just didn't have that much to say.
Everyone else is super boring. Yeah.
Not a huge amounts going on. And then like after we made that decision, Linda's just been like, wait, I have stuff to brag about. Wait, I have stuff to brag about again. Oh.
Yeah. This is my time to brag. So, you know what, you guys, if you guys want to be boring and not have anything to talk about, then that's fine. But
I mean,
it's rough because all the stuff I brag about is tournament wins, and those go in new developments. So
that's true.
We could just rename this entire segment to Lyndon's bragging corner.
Yeah, man. Why not?
Lyndon talking to a brick wall.
But yeah, so everyone, all of our listeners should go at me on Discord and tell me how cool and awesome I am. So yeah, thank you in advance. But yeah, without further ado,
when this comes out, I just want him pinged in every Discord imaginable at least 5 times, just like
by different people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
So actually, for real, do you guys have anything you want to talk about, or should we move on? Okay, we'll move on.
No, I mean we're. Huh?
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say something, but no, I guess we're.
Yeah, no, we're creeping closer to tier 1 con time, hour 0. I think I've locked in what deck I'm bringing. I'm not gonna announce it publicly. You guys are gonna have to wait and see for, I think, our choices until after tier 1 con. But have you guys come any closer to deciding what you're bringing? Because I know both of yours have been struggling mightily with that decision over the past couple of weeks.
I've been having fun testing my current deck. It's been doing okay, but I don't want to have to take what we discussed. Really. I don't want to have to go down
I think I'm definitely leaning away from taking the deck I've been testing most recently.
So interesting. All right.
Narrows my options.
Do you want to give away what you've been testing then, so we can have a quick discussion about it? Or are you still? Sure, do you still think? Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I was testing a Kenrith Stacks Hulk list, just to try and be very play stacks to beat Storm, and then just be very uninteractable.
And just go later than everyone else.
Yeah, but it's just felt like it kind of loses to like at every table I've sat down at, I've been like, I lose at every stage of the game, I'm losing to like one of the decks at that
Yeah,
table.
with like some turbo decks, something that has a reasonable mid game plan, and then something that just goes like super late.
Yeah, so it just feels like actually getting through to that like point where I can go for a win is like very difficult to time between like the point where someone playing, like Thrasios Tomb to value pile just starts taking over.
Makes sense.
Especially with like the stripped interaction package.
Yeah, that's definitely sort of a weakness, I think, of some of the rule of law stuff in like 5-color right now, is that it's sort of hard to like justify and fit in the interaction with the stacks pieces, because in a lot of cases the stack sort of takes up the slots that the interaction usually does, so it's just hard to find space.
Morgan, are you leaning towards taking the deck that we both don't want to take?
I mean, I'm gonna do some testing on that, and there's a decent chance I'll go with one of my two sort of fallbacks.
Okay. I mean, your fallbacks are solid, so my fallback,
Sure.
my current fallback is less solid. Definitely needs a lot of work still in testing and refining. So
Wait, you
we'll
have a
see.
fallback?
Well, my fallback is the deck I'm currently testing.
Oh,
yeah,
hilarious.
Oof.
Like it's either I'm taking this or I'm taking the other one. Is what I'm pretty sure. So
Hey, at least Hull
Alright.
Breacher got banned.
Yeah,
know,
right.
Speaking of which, I guess actually let's cover our new
Yeah.
our housekeeping first, and then we can get into new developments. So yeah, in housekeeping, we like to shout out our new patrons, and so we want to give a big shout out to Lawyer, which Lawlyer. You can tell us in the comments how we're supposed to pronounce that. I like Lawyer. Okay. We were discussing this pre-show. It took far too much time. But anyway, yes. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for becoming a new patron. As always, as we say to our new patrons, ripping straight from the command zone, you rock.
Lawsuit pending.
Yeah. Oh, Lawyer will defend us. Lawyer. Okay. Cool. Anyway, new developments. So we kind of already we jumped the gun. Hull Breacher.
Whoops.
It got banned.
Bye. Bye, Felicia.
Yeah. I don't think anyone on this cast was sad to see it go.
No,
I think
not
we're
at
all
all.
extremely ecstatic. Yeah.
It's
I don't know about ecstatic. I'm happy. I
Really?
I just okay. I want there to be good draw hate. I just don't want them to print more of the thing where they print hate bears that are asymmetrical, actually give you a benefit when your opponents do the thing, and have flash. Like I hate all three of those on the same card.
It's just so bad.
But like I do think that draw hate is important in CDH, and I wish there was like playable but reasonable draw hate. Like I would actually like to see more pieces of that, like things along the line of like Narset.
Yeah,
I think like
they're pretty reasonable.
I actually like Narset is like an exceedingly fair version of that effect too, because it sort of it gives you what would you call it, like a yeah, I don't know, just like, but it gives you value
Okay.
back for having it in play, but it's also like a card type that's attackable, like you can deal with it through multiple means, and I feel like it's very fair. I think like probably the most unfair thing in that category that I'd be okay with seeing is like a 2-mana Hull Breacher without the upside and without flash. Just like 2-mana asymmetrical Spirit of the Lab.
Well, yeah.
would
Wait,
not
hang on
like
a second.
that.
Spirit of the Lab or Hull Breacher? Like, would it still let you draw one card a turn? Like a lead?
Yeah. It lets you draw like one thing a turn.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
think asymmetrical at 2 CMC is whack. I think
But you're not gaining anything from it, and it doesn't have flash. Like,
yeah, I think that would be strong. I don't know that
do
would
we
be
like
broken.
Draenith? Do we like?
I mean, it would also be in white, which makes it a lot fairer, right? Like, it means that you're not like doing like wheel stuff in Grixis with it.
I think the wheel stuff is obviously what got it banned from the casual side, but also I just am
I mean, it was
opposed
also one
to
of the most
asymmetrical
unhealthy
stacks.
play patterns in CDH, though. Like the fact
Certainly,
that
I
you can
agree, but
flash
I
in
mean, we
Hull
didn't get
Breacher
it
in
banned
response to
for
a wheel.
CDH.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, I think that's one of the reasons why we're happy to see it.
I also
right?
think that the one card a turn effect is like it is actually much less punishing on like
Still can
a
activate
lot of different
Thrasios
things.
a bajillion
Like
times.
Rhystic Study, Thrasios. Like, it still gives you
Yeah.
outs.
It doesn't
Yeah.
just like turn them off. It
Yeah.
makes them weaker, which I think is healthier. Anyways, this is
Going on for far too
Dude.
long. We're happy that Breacher's gone.
episode topic. We just all design hate bears and then critique each other's hate bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Dude, I'm down.
I think Reed, do you remember your tweet when the Hull Breach
Yeah,
was
dude.
banned? 'Cause that sums up my feelings
Yeah,
on
I'm glad that it's gone, and I want tickets to the ban list for Op-Age and Drannith as well.
it. Did you? I thought you said it threw Notion Thief in there as well. Did you? Or no? Whatever.
No,
I'd be happy to see all the asymmetrical
I
bears.
I threw in Douthy with them because Douthy's also
Doughty, that's it. That's
disgusting.
it. I know there's one more. Yeah, Doughty, love to see that go as well. But anyway, yes. Main topic. We've got enough to cover in our main topic, so might as well jump into it. Which again is a tier list of all the colors in CDH. So not just Wooburg, but we're covering all the color combinations. And so the way we've structured this, because for audio only listeners, we know this could be a bit chaotic. So we've structured this so that we're going tier by tier. So we've got F, C, B, A, and S tier. And also for anyone who wants to watch on YouTube, Reed is capturing a one of those classic tier list generator things, and he's going to be placing these as we go. So if anyone wants to watch as they're doing it, you can check out our YouTube.
And we'll also, for audio listeners, if you have the time / whatever, we're going to be including a finished version of the tier list in the description for the episode, so you can open that up and follow along if you want.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So without further ado, we have if there was an F minus, this would be on it. What do we got?
We have colorless.
So what is there to say about colorless? What's the closest colorless commander to CDH?
I don't want to go into
I
that.
can't even.
I don't want to go into
that. It's either Karn, because you have like that one construct tutor that can find you, like, and then you can do like voltaic construct combos with
and technically
like
outlet, but not really.
Or Traxos, because he's enormous and clocks people, and you just try and play like
you could do like some clock of moments
3-ball.
well.
Try and play like 3-ball, and you play like a Ravager Shops type deck. But
with
it's
Clock of Omens.
Absolutely terrible.
F
Clock of Omens is pretty silly, but
F minus.
For it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So admittedly, the 7/7 Trampler does mean that like equipment draw is pretty live, but anyways, it's all terrible.
Yeah. So we all, the way we structure this also, I guess is worth noting, is we each kind of filled out our tier, like an individual tier list beforehand, and we kind of went with majority rules on where our final tier position is, but we're gonna give an opportunity for everyone to discuss if they've kind of dissented. So if or we'll maybe say something brief about why we think it's in whatever tier, but then we'll give more time to the dissenter to talk about why they think it might be incorrectly placed. But yeah, we were all in agreement with F. In fact, we're all in agreement with this next one as well, which is mono white in the F tier.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to make some mono white players upset, even though like they're pretty like all in. Although I think they've got to know. They've got
you have to.
Right,
if you play mono white, you have to know. Maybe like the only way that you
some
don't
of them don't know.
maybe the only way that you don't know is if you've only ever played mono white in CDH, right? Like, I feel like if you've
just
ever
because it's an
played,
F tier doesn't mean that it's got nothing going for it.
I mean,
but
it's just like if you've ever played any other color or any other color combination, you just understand that there's so much better stuff going on.
Yeah, really bolstered by the fact that there's some combo commanders, some commanders that can combo from the command zone, but realistically, you just do not have the quality card support or the pure strength of the commanders to kind of carry them a full tier. So, yep. Unfortunately, white F tier, and we were all in agreement.
Making Reed's just adding an F minus.
F minus. How about we do honorarily casual, and then we have F.
Cool. Next up, Morgan.
Next up in F tier we have mono black.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this one is maybe the I think this one is one that people might disagree with because like historically mono black has been
It's been fine.
playable at the very least. But I think that like it's had consistent access to a very limited tool set, and we've seen a lot of things that give just much more consistent access and like more tools in other colors.
It's also like
and
the gap has widened. Like black has sort of stayed in the same, like mono black has sort of stayed in the same place for like the last 3 years, and everything else has been getting tools.
Yeah. And like also the black tools that have been printed are ones that are typically used a lot better in higher color combinations. So it just like, I mean, Crick is obviously like very powerful and very explosive, but you know, you get interrupted once and then like you actually just don't even have the life to start going off again. Sidisi, well, you know, 5 mana tutors for Nas, now exists in 5 color, so rip.
Yeah.
Or like yeah, your commander just tutors for Nas
rough.
exists in 5 colors.
Imagine paying 5 mana to tutor for Nas instead of just playing a 1-drop or a 3-drop ramp piece that tutors for it incidentally. Yeah. Yeah.
I think black is probably no, never mind. I was about to say it's like maybe the second closest to being C tier, but I'm not even sure that's true. Looking at the rest of this,
I think any of these are a commander away from being into the next tier, except maybe colorless. Colorless is.
I think black is actually farthest from being a commander away. Like black has some insanely powerful commanders, and I still don't think it gets there. I think the next ones are much more a commander away.
Yeah.
So the next ones. Next up we have Reed.
We got Gruul. Yep. We got oh, I have to find this. There we go. We got Gruul. Yeah, it's dude, Gruul's rough. we were talking about this in the pre-show, and it's just like Gruul is almost like the new Boros right now. Like in the last year or so, Boros has gotten some pretty good commanders, and like some nice-ish tools, and Gruul just has not and hasn't really gotten good tools for what Gruul wants to do.
Well, yeah, I feel like the fact that none of its commanders like combo easily with a creature, like if one of them, you know, could just combo with like another creature.
Hey dude, that would make Gallia combos with fucking Gallia combos with Goblin Recruiter.
Yeah, don't Reed.
No,
Reed has done
no,
this.
she doesn't. And like none of them really give you advantage in like a meaningful way.
Yeah.
And so like you just a whole bunch of them give you mana, which is like already what Gruul is giving you consistent access to, and then it's like, oh, here, have more of that, and you're like, well, but
I think
perhaps I could get something useful.
Yeah, maybe the closest to like a good Gruul commander is just like Daryl, but nobody wants to play Daryl because you don't want to have that conversation when you sit down at the table, right?
Yeah. That's this. Maybe one day when they print the non-Walking Dead version of Daryl. I've played against a Daryl deck, and it was pretty all right. You know.
Also, like the fact that you kind of want to run Pyroclasms to get the massive draw, but then also like you don't want to Pyroclasm your stuff is like a bit of an issue there.
Definitely awkward. But yeah, that's Gruul. Next up we have. Honestly, this one makes me sad. Selesnya.
Yeah.
Rip Sisse. You know.
dude, Sisay
Yeah,
carried so
that
hard.
used to be a solid solid C B tier. I guess probably upper C.
I'd say that
But
was a solid B tier. Sisay had some powerful stuff, dude.
yeah, it was also the most
The
flavorful
most
band name.
flavorful win line possible. God,
Yeah, where the Weatherlight being part of the
Sisay
combo.
Weatherlight Captain tutoring up Skyship Weatherlight as part of the combo line.
That's so sad that we have to see that go. But sadly, I think the Paradox Engine ban is a really good casual ban, and so I don't think
Oh,
that's
I
going to
guess
come
not
off.
Weatherlight Captain Sisay. Oh, they have the same name. I just realized that. That's annoying. Anyway, I don't want to be yelled at in comments. Captain Sisay.
Yeah, Selesnya F tier. Without Sisei, there's just nothing going on really. Like there's
Honestly,
sappy Sisei still, but like yeah.
If Siona like actually won with her combo, like because she combos with an aura, right, which is like very
or if
accessible.
she actually
but
tutored instead of like looking at the top 7.
well, I mean, then they would never print. That just seems
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I guess, but yeah.
But like, yeah, if her combo actually won the game rather than just making infinite 1/1s and passing the turn, then like being a cheap commander with a 1-card combo in a card type that's actually accessible in the colors, rule of law resilient would be good. But the fact that you actually just have to pass the turn after you make infinite 1/1s just kind of kills that.
Also, like the fact, if it did win, the fact that she both searches for the combo piece and you can abuse like White's flicker abilities to like reuse her to keep looking for the combo piece rather than having to use hard tutors is just like, I would actually just make her so good.
Yeah, definitely a cool one, but fortunately not enough to escape F tier. Next up, we've got our last one that we all agreed on was in F tier, which is
it's Orzhov.
It's Orzhov.
Yeah.
Are you just not going to say any of them?
No, Morgan. I thought I did. Right? Did I? Oh.
Anyway, who'd have guessed that?
No,
who'd have guessed that the combination of black and white would still be F tier?
Yeah.
Orzhov.
I think that
yeah, it suffered for a long time.
There's just no
from
synergy.
Commanders. Yeah. Oh yeah. Also in like the good cards in white and the good cards in black in CDH, there's like no good synergy between them.
Yeah, I think there is obviously some good stuff to be doing in black, but yeah, like you're saying, the ad nauseum kind of fast game plan does not synergize with the white stacks. And unless there's some kind of commander that can bridge the gap, or make combos out of existing cards that can take advantage of things like,
I don't know, Timna's pretty fucking good. But
that is the most tragic thing ever that
Timna solo is probably like the best
or
commander.
just like picking a random partner, like any one of them.
Timna Tavesh.
You could do Timna Tavesh, you could do Timna Armix, Timna Ravos, Timna like yeah.
The Menace one's actually very reasonable Timna because you just get more attacks in, like or is it?
Yeah.
Does it give Menace or does it give Death Touch?
It gives Death Touch.
That's still fine.
Yeah.
It's just rough.
Okay. Next up we have Mono Red. So
in fact,
Reed and I had this in C tier, and Morgan had this in F tier. So Reed and I guess for me, Godo is what's pushing Red into C tier.
I think it has like a reasonable depth of like commanders that do things as opposed to the rest of these colors. Like I think
it does, but there are a bunch of F tier commanders. I think.
Sure,
except Godo.
I think Magda is probably like a better commander than a lot of the ones that you find in these other color combinations as well. And I feel like there's like some other stuff to be done in mono red, but Godo certainly like Magda, pushes it up
Zada,
to C.
Yeah. Morgan, what about you? You had this as an F. What was your thinking?
I think that like, well, obviously like Godo Helm is pretty powerful. I think that it's like, I don't, Godo alone doesn't do enough heavy lifting for me to put the whole color combination in C tier, even if I called Godo a C tier deck. Like I think that it's C tier despite its colors. and the colors themselves are like, or color as it is like arguably even. I think it's arguably even as a combination is even worse than mono black, or like as an option. Obviously,
I think
it's
red
not
has a lot of very powerful things going for it that kind of can mitigate for it. Like I think the pyroclasms, the dockside, underworld breach, a lot of powerful cards have been printed in red recently that can pump up the rest of, or rise all the things a bit. And I wouldn't say it rises them out of F tier, but rises them to the
again,
above things like mono black.
All of these are tools that are just like 1,000 times better when you're not in mono red.
Yeah, yep, also true.
Agreed. Cool.
So we did end up with that in C tier since me and Lyndon outnumber Morgan here.
Yeah, I mean we can decide whether maybe as we're going we can decide if anyone else want to change our scores, but I think I'm sticking with C.
Yeah.
Cool. Next
up, we actually have Azorius. Actually, you know what? No. We'll do. Let's do Boros first here. Since we have a dissenting opinion again.
What can I say? I'm just so controversial.
Okay. So the reason I would say that Boros, and I'm assuming this holds the same for Lyndon, is in C is because it has 2 good commanders now, which is like so much better than anything else that we currently have on this list, which is it's Winota and Cole as like the 2 big commanders in Boros right now.
No, I've never actually played against a Winota deck.
It's fun when it does its thing, and it's definitely like there's a lot of ways in which it's hard to interact with it doing its thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the only way to
the only game I lost to Winota was the one where was also the only game where I've seen someone. Oh no, actually now there's 2 games where I've seen someone breach your wheel and then lose.
Hilarious. Yeah. That sounds like a game where Winota would win. Nobody has hands.
I've been very impressed with Cole, Reed. Seeing you play Cole.
I think it's great.
Yeah, solid C tier, commander. I think Boros's ability to access equipment, and then having a commander that just abuses that is really gives it that A+B consistency.
Yeah,
and then also has some nice versatility and things it can do with that equipment abuse. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So what's up, Morgan? Why do you hate Cole?
Yeah. Why are you such a hater?
Why do you hate my baby?
I guess honestly it might just be that I was like focusing more on the tools the color combination offers and less on the commanders it has, because like obviously Cole like fits perfectly into it. Heavily abuses like the one thing that Boros can do well.
Yeah.
And I guess like in my mind, there's still one thing that Boros can do well,
sure.
And that thing isn't even that good. And like they just happen to get the thing that abuses it perfectly, but I still struggle with.
And then they got another commander that's just so busted that it doesn't matter what the colors are doing.
Yeah. And then like every other Boros deck that like people have played around with, I think shows the weakness of Boros in a lot of ways. Like like cards like Feather or Gerard.
I think probably
never done Wyleth.
The next I'd say the next one down the list probably is Zerta, just because it has like semi 1-card combos. Like there's
I've seen that too, and like Zerta, Osgear, Gerard, Feather, like all of these cards, seeing people, including myself in one of those cases, try and make them work and just run face first into Boros being terrible just makes me think Boros is terrible,
Reasonable.
Yeah, sure.
I still think it's C tier just because of the
same. Yeah.
I think the commanders, like we were saying, like maybe you don't think Godo is enough to push it in like red into C tier. I think 2 is enough for me. Plus like the additional tools that white gives it is like certainly enough for me to push it into C.
I guess.
Cool. I guess we're going backward
back
to
time.
the thing we just skipped. Yeah.
Everybody ignore it.
Yeah. So here we have Azorius. all of us agree on C tier. So what
Yeah.
does Azorius have going for it?
Not much.
Blue's good.
It has sort of weirdly like actually some fairly powerful commanders. Um, but the bad part about them is that none of the commanders are win conditions in of themselves, and Azorius does not have good win conditions.
Hot take. I think one of the best Azorius commanders is not. No one's done a list for him yet. I think it's Glenn, dude. I think Glenn
I
the
do
draw
I
potential.
I actually agree. The only reason I haven't I never built a Glenn deck is because of the well like controversy over it. But I do think that like Glenn with the GTA or just like good equipment is actually nuts.
Yeah, or like a really efficient aura to give evasion. The
Yeah.
draw engine on Glenn is insane, and then you're in good controlling colors. Obviously, the biggest problem is winning the game. I think Azorius is a lot of the color combinations we're going to talk about later are kind of carried by the win conditions provided by their colors. I think Azorius is one kind of good combo away from securing something like that. Like
You're
Tygam is
suggesting that Shift Lash is not it?
Shift Lash is you work with what you got.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's the best
you
that
work
you
with what you
can
got.
make. Yeah.
Maybe Mystic Sanctuary combo loops with turns because Glenn could do something there. I don't know, like that.
Well, it's
Maybe
just
maybe
yeah,
that's it, but
it's just
they're not great. It's not great.
Mystic Sanctuary turns is just like the thing that you're like, well, I have this Phyrexian arena in the command zone. I guess like I'll just do something that sort of synergizes with turns.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, it's just yeah,
No,
it's
I
not
think
great.
Azorius could very easily bring itself up to B tier.
Oh, certainly.
I don't think it's
I
that.
think
Yeah, yeah.
even if they got something like a even if they got like a good Polytyrant commander, I think that would like help bring it out of the Dark
That'd be
Ages.
gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Cool, cool,
All
cool.
right.
I mean, yeah, Tygame's also pretty good.
Yeah, no, like
Yeah.
Tygam is actually like an egregiously good card in general. It just happens to be in bad colors for actually winning the game. But it's like the same thing for like Brago is like an actually just very good card. It just has like
If
iffy,
Tygam cost less,
yeah,
I'd be
iffy
way
colors.
more, yeah, way more interested.
Also, like Grand
Yeah,
Arbiter is like also an egregious effect, just like not in colors that can take
yeah,
advantage
yeah,
of it,
yeah,
right? Like,
absolutely. So now we're on to our three color combinations for in our C tier. Uh, and speaking of lack of win conditions,
oh
we have
boy,
Bant.
yeah.
Uh,
It's actually just like
dude,
crazy that oh god, we're into the for anybody who's listening online, we're into the part of the tier list where we couldn't find good icons for the color combinations. So I have to sift through the charms from the from Alara by art. But all right, we got there. We got Bant.
nice. So yeah, Bant really has two commanders. You're looking at, well, I guess you could theoretically do like Thrasios plus some white partner like
Yeah,
Livio or something. But
dude, Thrasios Livio. I played 2 games with that deck and immediately dropped it.
yeah, no, but you really got Hullen and Derevi, and Derevi is one of those cards where it's S tier if Time Vault is legal. It's like it is one card away
Yeah.
from being like S tier. It's got good tutors, good effect, like just super stupid card. But it just suffers from a lack of win conditions.
Honestly, I think like it's more reasonably one good card away, and that card is just like something that enables a half decent pod line.
Yeah, honestly. Like you just play
Like
pod.
I
Hit with
think like
Derevi.
obviously like saying it's Time Vault away from being good is like
No,
a
but I
little
mean,
bit
just
a
to
little
say
bit
that
asinine,
one
but
card.
like
No, it's not Time Vault away from being good. It's Time Vault away from being S tier. That's
sure,
different than being good. I'm saying like
sure.
it is one card that could be printed that Derevi can abuse with, or that Derevi can abuse is very easy to make Derevi like quite insane. So the deck has a lot going for it, but it is missing a key piece.
Yeah, like if there
depending
was
on what
just
they
like
print, yeah.
a 2-card creature combo that you could pod into. Like, I mean, literally, if the deck could just play Dockside, you would just play pod
Yeah.
Dork into Dockside, connect with Derevi, pod Derevi into Emil, like,
And then you just like get there.
win the game.
Yeah.
But you can't.
Tragic.
But
It is. Emil actually did give a bit of life to the deck though, just because you can do stuff now with like Emil plus Guy's Cradle, which like didn't exist before, which is like fairly accessible, and it's a 3-card combo, but like all the cards are reasonably good on their own.
3-card combo that also needs an outlet. I mean, I guess you could just tap everyone down on their upkeep, but
yeah.
So Morgan, you had Bant at B tier. Do you want to speak to that a bit?
Yeah. I think Cullen's good.
That is reasonable.
Yeah, I know. What hot takes here? Like as a card, and I think that like while it has obvious shortcomings, I think like particularly in the WinCon department, I think that it like unlike Orzhov, where like the best cards in those two colors like very much clash with each other, I think that like Bant decks are very easy to build with like a high degree of internal cohesion and synergy. And so like while it is let down a bit by its win cons, I think that like it has a lot of really good tools.
That is sort of the story of casual EDH, isn't it? Just like Bant good stuff piles because it just works well together.
Yeah.
Extends out to C.
We've got
it's definitely like towards the lower end of B tier. It's not
sure.
Like I think some of the other things that I put in B tier I would be like are clearly stronger than this, but
so we actually have we've made a mistake on our list, and there's actually one thing here that should be in C tier as well, and that there's some controversy over. So I'm a dissenter on this one, but I think it's worth talking about in the same.
And who'd have guessed that you would be the dissenter on this one, huh?
I know, right? Morgan dissents on Bant, I dissent on this, but I think they're worth talking about in comparison. So we've got Golgari. Golgari comes in at C tier. I have it as B tier. So do you guys want to speak on why you put Golgari in C tier, and then I'll say why I put it in B?
Yeah, I mean, I think my whole thing is just that like I didn't think that Frog carries Golgari enough to bring it into the B tier. I think that it like still has some fundamental issues.
I think it's certainly in part led down by its commander. Its commanders, or commander. And I think that there's just like as a color combination, I'm not a fan of decks that can't play blue or stacks and are slower than other decks that do the same thing. And I think that that's like Golgari in a nutshell.
So I put Golgari in B off the back. I think Hapatra, so it's got 3 main commanders. It's got Gitrog, Hapatra, and Varals.
If we're reaching for Hapatra,
I think
we've already
Hapatra is a bit underrated. I mean, when I say underrated, I don't mean like secret A tier. No, I think it's underrated as a very fast Turbo Nas deck in Golgari because of its ability to find Yawgmoth, which is just Yawgmoth's bargain, and it's very accessible through creature tutoring. So I think it's as a Turbo Nas / Turbo Bargain deck, it's actually somewhat reasonable. And then Varal's, it suffers from problems, but it's still
it suffers from
reasonable
like
fast combo deck.
It suffers from like a problem, which is mostly just its consistency. I think if Varal's could play like 3 more copies of Entomb, it would be a much better deck.
Yeah, and I think Varal's is reasonable. I think clearly, and I think we're all in agreement that Gitrog is the best Golgari commander.
Yeah.
I think honestly, what Gitrog has gotten recently into so normally in the past I was higher on Gitrog, and then my opinion has slowly waned as new cards have been printed but recently, especially with the banning of Hull Breacher and the tools that Gitrog has acquired, I'm actually much higher on Gitrog now. The fact that it's got a consistent way to remove whatever permanent is causing it problems in the form of like Douthie, Draneth, Notion Thief, Narset, whatever, and with Grist, just a consistent.
Notice that he didn't say opposition
I didn't
agent.
say opposition agent, but the thing is, if there's an opposition agent in play, then you've got your Git Raw grind plan, which is pretty solid, and honestly, just getting there through
Well,
the cleanup step combo as well.
Gitrog grind plan often involves cracking a lot of fetches.
Correct.
Yeah, but I mean, you can crack fetches to just draw cards and get loam value, or with your Ramanap Excavator drawing multiple cards a turn. But the biggest thing I think for Gitrog going is its resiliency. So I agree that it's just no longer a deck that's competing for the top end of speed. It's still a fast deck by all means, but I think its resiliency is what really gives it extra points.
I think
uncounterability through Allosaur Shepherd is just very, very strong.
I think it was never
and as
really
well the hard interact with combo.
It was never really like the fastest list. But it was like it was certainly fast enough to threaten. But I think there's been like another like level of management below it or above it or whatever of like the faster decks now that I think pushes it out even more, which is unfortunate.
I also think that like as more and more tools have printed that allow the fast decks to go even faster, it's become like much more of a reasonable coin toss on like the person actually trying to go under everyone if they can just succeed. So like I think that winning second, it was always like, oh, whoever goes off first doesn't get there, and then like the next person wins was like Frog's game plan. But like when that is happening on turn 2, the odds that they get there are like a lot higher. And so those games that like Gitrog would actually be positioned to win are like sometimes just ending very early.
Yeah.
I think one thing that is nice for Gitrog is we can look over time through the metagame project, and it's kind of held a fairly consistent win rate about around 25, which is about expected, which to me definitely screams a B tier deck and not a C tier deck. But that's
well, it's
I don't think I'm convinced to change the
I think it's a beer.
I think Gitrog is high B.
I think
high B in
I
terms
think
of
I think it's like
deck.
a B tier deck, but I think the color combination as a whole is probably around a C.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe you guys are sleeping a bit on Hapatra, and I mean I'm not gonna say accuse Reed of sleeping on Varolz, but
I'm not. I can assure you, I'm not.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Last but not least, in C tier we have.
Doesn't something actually have to have potential for you to sleep on it?
Hey,
Wow, dude.
mean.
Wow. Yeah,
We have
uncalled for.
We got Naya.
Naya.
It's also a deck that suffers from having bad commanders.
Morgan, you played Naya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about
I
it.
think so. I think that Naya is like weirdly kind of the or like in many ways it's surprisingly different from Bant, given how like similar you would expect them
like
to be.
The green white creature core is just like so ubiquitous in a lot of like these low color shells.
And yet like what blue adds to it and what red adds to it are like so opposite that the decks just go in completely different directions. Yeah. So like obviously what red adds to the green white creature core is ways to actually end the game, which is pretty cool.
You get Dockside.
Big fan of being able to win. Also Dockside.
Yeah.
Usually pretty strong. But you just like if you're trying to abuse Dockside, that makes playing like null rod effects hard. If you're trying to like you obviously can't play curse totem effects
because you're dorks.
And so like this because you're dorks. I think Blood Moon is not exactly
all-time low currently.
All-time low. You could generally play like Rule of Law effects, but I think that like there's a lot of tension between like how the deck wants to play the game and then how the deck wants to end the game. That ultimately winds up holding it back.
I think like
cool.
I think Minsk and Boo, right?
Yeah.
Is actually like reasonable in like it's a sort of a bit of a step forward in like having your win condition and your strategy a bit more in line in Naya. Just because like Hulk is a lot easier to play with like rule flaws and with like collector roof and Narod effects and stuff than like some of the others win cons has played before, but it still has issues.
So our actual last one in C tier is mono green. Me and Morgan have it put as, Morgan and I have it as C tier, and then Reed has it as B tier.
Like I like the self-regulating there.
So I think there's really Yisan, and then there's a whole pile of green storm commanders with Selvala at the top, and I don't put either of Yisan or Selvala in B tier. So it's pretty clearly C tier for me.
For me, like I could go either way, but I feel like green has a lot of like good tools to be B tier. It's just like, yeah, it's rough. I guess I sort of have the golden age of green in my mind when I'm thinking about this, and right now it's not super great.
It's like a lot of the tools that green has. We talked about, Hapatra and Virals, and a lot of these other decks also have. Like the green has better win conditions in the command zone, arguably, but I think Virals and Apatra, with the Nas plans and Black Tutors, if those are C tier, then I don't see how Yisan and Selvala can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh my God, is this our first changed grade of the?
No, because there was C anyway.
Yeah,
I'm still the dissenting opinion here.
Okay, so do you want to speak about B?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like it was really just that, like I feel like Green's cards are actually more cohesive with mono green commanders than they are with a lot of the other commanders. For like the lower tier green stuff. Just like the commanders in mono green tend to actually use, or like the good commanders in mono green tend to actually use green's skill set fairly well. Or they're just so busted that it doesn't matter. Like Yasun is a very busted card. The deck might not be that great, but the card is very good.
I think he's just too slow these days.
I think
and not enough.
I think Selvala
or anything,
and also opposition agent exists.
Yeah. That's a pretty big one. Selvala and Marwyn are certainly like just producing a lot of mana lets you use cards that are busted, but that you don't usually get to use because of the mana gate on them. So, I think it's reasonable. I think the only thing really that would prop it up in my mind is the into like the bottom of B tier are just the big mana commanders in mono green, but I could see just like not acknowledging those as enough to push it up.
Cool. So that does it for our C tier. Moving on to our B tier, we have mono blue. So yeah, me and Reed and I had this in B. Morgan had it in C. As for why I think it's in B, I think it's a tier full of lots of C tier commanders, and it has Urza, and Urza is probably at the top of B or bottom of A, and that's enough to drag it up for me.
Yeah, it's got Urza. Urza's good. Urza is quite possibly like the best monocolored commander in existence.
Yeah,
so
I think that's hands down.
I mean, I think like assuming we're counting the colors that it's in terms of strength, I think like holistically, if you ignore that, I think Yisan is probably powerful. But
makes sense. But if we can't, like, even if we just count it as like a commander that is monocolored and not necessarily taking the actual color that it's in into account, I don't know. Like, I feel like Urza is still just very busted.
So there's three things that mono blue commanders can do usually, and it's you're either a mana engine, a draw engine, or a combo engine. So Urza is, I guess, 2.5 of those. Not really a draw engine because his ability, I mean, that's why I gave it 0.5. I mean, it's arguably less than 0.5, but whatever. Urza basically does everything that a mono blue deck can do, and it does it super well. So it's it's a very solid commander that drags up the entire color combination. And
I think mono blue probably has the best tool set out of any monocolor, like taken as a whole, I think.
Yeah.
I guess maybe Urza does drag it into B tier. I guess like thinking about sort of all the other blue commanders, I think that blue doesn't, like, you said combo engine, draw engine, mana engine. I think, again, with the exception of Urza, if your commander is one of those, I think that blue is bad enough at the other two that it just doesn't wind up being particularly good.
Some of them end up
like the
fitting into
big
multiple
having
categories.
to an extent, but like having, like Azami, just like the man, getting the mana, getting her down, getting the wizards down while like trying not to die is hard.
Like,
Or
Emery
like,
is a good example of a combo slash card advantage engine. But
I mean, it's
it
not
suffers
really
from
a combo. Like,
Yeah,
I guess
the issue is that like its combos are just bad enough that it's hard to consider it a combo engine.
yeah.
I mean, all the combos involve Emery, so I'm gonna.
Well, I mean,
it's
like, okay,
probably a
it's
combo.
like an outlet. I guess it's an outlet for like the basalt monolith stuff.
It's also an outlet for your mirror and spy combos.
Well,
Like,
no, I would say that's not an
part of the
outlet.
combo.
That's
Like,
like
it's part
that's
of the
part
combo,
of that
yeah.
combo. But like that combo is just hilariously inaccessible, like comically
Yeah,
inaccessible.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Why can't mirror and spy be
Long term plans, dude?
Don't even joke about long term plans. I love that card.
No,
Yeah, like-
I'm gonna meme on long term plans all I want. That card's terrible.
No,
Like,
you're
the
terrible.
fact- Orvar-
This
No,
card's
the fact that you play that card in your deck speaks to exactly how bad blue is at tutoring things that aren't artifacts.
That's true.
Like Orvar
Orvar is a good mixed commander.
is a mix, but like if you don't have like one of your targets that's like a good value engine, you can often just like stall out pretty easily.
Yeah.
Like, or and like, again, getting him down and then untapping
that's a big problem.
and defending him is like can be a bit of a struggle.
The fact that
But,
Urza's
like,
a
I mean,
4-drop that
I
comes down and
certainly-
makes a mana, and then you dump your 0-drops and you're holding up a bunch of mana is such a boon.
Yeah, certainly. Like, I maybe I don't fully buy it, but I obviously see the argument that like Urza drags blue
Drags
up
mono
into
blue
B
kicking
tier.
and screaming into B tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
Morgan, do you
about
want to change your
Teferi,
grade, or are you
though?
going to stick with C?
I'm gonna stick with C. I
Aw.
don't. I think I'm sticking with C, not like because I don't think Urza is as good as you guys think it is, but I mean, that may be true. I'm not super high on Urza overall. I'm like very low on monocolor, but I think I just place like a slightly lower weight on the commanders than you guys do.
Makes sense.
Sure. Next.
Next up, we have Ractos.
Morgan, once again, the dissenting opinion.
It's stupid fast.
Somehow. It is, I mean, comparatively pretty fast. These are like the base colors that constitute fast in the current CDH meta, right?
Okay. Read on
Right,
3.
like-
Say the best Ractos commander.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Grenzo.
Grenzo.
Yeah.
100%.
Which is sad because Grenzo is just extremely unpopular.
I don't get why Grenzo is so unpopular. I think
I
the deck's
know.
great.
Card's like
Well,
just
maybe,
a solid
maybe,
solid
maybe
card.
it's maybe
Solid
it's not
deck.
great, but it's like super solid. It has like a one
Yeah.
card win condition. It gets to play a bunch of good cards. The commander is very reasonable for your combo engine.
Good ad
like,
nos deck. Like, yeah,
it's
yeah.
an infinite mana outlet as well. You can like stick infinite mana stuff into it. Like it's all very good. I don't like
Yeah. Sad. But yeah, I think
It's just
the
kind of
biggest
a
problem with
one-trick pony.
Rakdos is it's nothing but Grenzo for the most part. Like there's Chainer.
Oh, it's
Morgan
only
plays
fast.
Chainer.
It's only fast. Well, no. So you have Anye, you have like technically Kroxa. Some people are toying with like Rog to Vesh stuff. I think like I think the issue with Rakdos is it's nothing but fast. And you can only really build it to be fast to be like a good deck, but it like does not have quite enough gas in a lot of cases, and like its interaction is a bit lacking.
I think you
Honestly,
listed a bunch of C tier commanders and then Grenzo, which is a B tier commander.
Funnily enough, I think that like Rakdos suffers from like the actual like literal win conditions not being quite good enough. Like you have this like you have the mana to like go fast, you have the access to the cards, but like whatever it is you're assembling actually like kind of sucks.
Yeah, like you have
Like whether
you
it's
have all
World
this
Gorger
mana,
Dragon or
you have
or
all
like
this mana,
some
you have half your deck in your hand, and yet the thing that you're trying to do just still isn't good.
like you have like Kiki with a 5 mana bottom.
Yeah.
You have like Snoop lines which like
Mono red Thoracle Wen.
yeah.
God, no.
You have like Dual Caster Twin Flame, like all of these things are just not quite good enough. Like I think Rakdos is a color that I see. Rakdos is a color where like Nazes fail a lot more than like you might think that they should, considering often how like slim the decks are.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh well, I need to assemble Dual Caster Twin Flame, and like to get the mana I have to correct this LED, but like I drew one of the pieces and have to tutor the other, so and then I mean I guess like Breach definitely like helps with that, but like you don't have.
I mean, your breach stuff is still awkward because you don't have like brain freeze, you don't have Oracle stuff to do after it, so you have to call it together.
So like
usually,
you still
like,
have to
like wheel stuff or whatever.
Yeah, like Breach is good at like smoothing over accessing your other win cons after a Nas, but like you don't necessarily have the tool set for like chain a couple tutors into Breach into like like tutor Breach, play it, rebuy the tutor, brain freeze, rebuy the tutor, LED or whatever that you do in Grixis.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
It's
so,
just rough.
Morgan, would you say Grenzo is a B tier commander?
Not anymore. Like I think
that's
that
interesting.
I think that like considering saying it's a B tier commander because of Doomsday, like
I think it's because of Doomsday, World Gorger, Adnaz. It's got a lot of different axes.
No, but I'm saying like
Dockside Breach.
No, but I'm saying like I think that the thing that Grenzo does that the other Rakdos options don't do is Doomsday.
But he does them all.
The thing that he does that the other ones don't do.
Yeah, but the other ones also don't do everything, right? Like that's what? So he does do Doomsday, unlike the other ones, but he's not just a Doomsday commander, right? That's what I'm just wanting to
like he can
right.
Also
okay,
be
but I'm saying what separates him from the other ones is Doomsday. Is that not an accurate? Like
sure.
They do
like,
some stuff. He does that stuff and Doomsday.
Yeah, sure. I just think it's an important distinction to make that it's.
I'm not
because you could say that if you could say make the same statement if he only did Doomsday as well. That's why I just want to.
No. I'm not saying he only does Doomsday. I'm saying like the thing that would put him above the tier of the other Rakdos commanders is Doomsday, and like commander-based Rakdos Doomsday is now kind of just worse than like Dimir Doomsday. Like
sure.
Doomsday is like not special after they printed Thoracle, right? Like it's unbelievably easy to win with Doomsday in better color combinations.
To
and
me,
like,
I think
and like that's not even good
Doomsday.
enough, right? Like some Dimir plus decks play Doomsday, but a lot of them don't. And their Doomsdays should be, first of all, they should be better because it's like easier to win than it is with Grenzo after the Doomsday. And second, they should be better because you actually have the tools to protect them. And like it's still not even good enough.
So that makes sense, but I also do think that like the layering of Doomsday plus World Gorger Dragon is a fairly rare one.
I agree. I think it's the confluence of win conditions.
I think that's the thing that sort of makes him good is that like you have this like these two pretty like relatively fast plans, that are both fairly accessible.
Okay, but like you don't play either of those in Thrasia's Vile Smasher, right?
Yeah, I understand that, but Thrasia's Vile Smasher is also, like, spoiler alert, 2 tiers above this, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to make that comparison.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you maintain that he's C tier, that Rakdos is C tier, that makes sense.
I might concede that he's B tier, but Rakdos as a whole is certainly C tier in my opinion.
Sure.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Well, next up.
Finally, we have a dissenter who's not Morgan, and this is for Is It. So
It is for Is It.
Reed has Is It at C tier. Morgan and I have it at B tier.
I just don't think the Is It commanders are that good.
So
yeah,
I think
I mean I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think the issue is that Is It commanders aren't that great, and the best thing going on in Is It that isn't in like mono blue or mono red is Breach specifically, and I don't think Breach is particularly accessible in Is It either.
Well, Gamble is. And Gamble is kind of the one card
Yeah,
combo
but
with
Gamble is sort of it's sort of a
Right,
one card win con.
Yeah,
you have to have
just
you have to have,
just be lucky. Come on.
you have to have
Fuck
enough.
that.
It's not even that it's the randomness. It's the fact that like in order to be in a place where you can find Gamble and then cast Gamble for Breach, you sort of like you need to have enough cards in hand before tutoring for the Gamble in order to make it good. So like there's like when Is It has no cards in hand and rips a tutor, it's really bad.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah.
Right?
So
Like, this
you
is what I'm
probably
saying.
need a
So,
good
like-
card advantage engine.
Yeah, and you have to
Maybe
have your
something
card
like
advantage.
Riel.
You have to have your card advantage engine online and producing cards before you go for the win. A lot of the time.
Yeah, but it's also in good colors for disruption. So you are somewhat likely to get to that point in the game. You're able to do pyroclasms. You're able to do blood moons back to basics if you want.
I mean,
You've got good counter magic.
So there's a reason I didn't put it in F tier, but I'm not sure it's super B tier-ish. I don't know.
Morgan, do you want to speak to B tier?
I think that like particularly in low color combinations, blue just does so much heavy lifting. Like you can control the game quite effectively. I think red does a decent job of like shoring up some of those win cons in blue, particularly the like mana and to a lesser extent the win cons, but like still to a non-zero extent. You can also like get better access to, depending on your commander, things like Spellseeker through like recruiters or some goblin
I don't think
shenanigans.
there's problems with Spellseeker with the Wizard Cyclers.
Sure.
Like, with
or
Step
like
Four
you can get
specifically,
access
yeah.
to certain combo pieces or value engines or whatever it is. So I think that like red does quite a good job of shoring up blue's weaknesses. I think to a degree it is definitely let down by its commanders. But I guess
I think the best commanders in Is It have to be just Riel and Quark Sakashima, right?
yeah,
I mean,
I think
historically,
Niv's just
and
a little too uncastable.
like Jorah and Niv are sort of like the half tier under those. Inside of
Jorah
Is It, I think.
is for people who are aroused at the thought of losing to Mystic Remora and Rhystic Steady. And that's all it's for.
Yeah. No, I think it, to me, I agree with Morgan. The colors shore each other up, and I think that the two commanders that we talked about, I think, are solidly enough in B tier, in my opinion. That I'd place the color combination in B tier. Would you not
All
place
right.
Riel in B tier, Reed?
I think Riel is probably like it's probably like lower B tier-ish, but I also don't think that carries the color combination enough. I think like the pretty strict average of it, in my opinion, is like closer to C tier. But I'm willing to accept that you guys will put it in B.
Yeah.
How magnanimous.
Sure.
All right. I think we can probably. Oh no, we can't because okay. All right. Yeah. So we have next up the last of our two color combinations in B tier, I think here.
Yep.
Which is Simic. This one was unanimous. I don't think there's actually much to be said about that, just because. Yeah, Simic just does the good stuff, It has interaction. Green's busted too. It has like good acceleration, and it actually has some number of reasonable commanders. If you want to actually win the game on time, Vanifar's there for you. If you want to do busted big stuff, Kidden exists.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I think the
Sakodama is also like it's
like,
just like incredibly hard to disrupt.
Yeah, same thing with Tadiova actually. Like a very difficult to disrupt list deck. There's a reason why there are a lot of Simic decks on the database, and it's just because like the colors lend themselves to doing a lot of like powerful things with a lot of staples.
So, Reed, how much does it hurt that we're just going through and covering off all the various strengths of all the Simic decks and didn't even see fit to mention Momir?
I mean, I had it in my
F's
mind to mention it,
in
but I
the
didn't want to
chat.
discredit. I didn't want to discredit my argument. I think Momir's fun.
Momir.
I think Momir sort of suffers to the problem that we pointed out with Hackball at like pretty much at its inception, which is that the deck is only as good as Momir, and Momir sucks because he's 5 mana. if like Momir was 3 mana and its issue was some of the cards in its 99 or in its combo line, I'd have a lot more hope for it, but Momir will never not be 5 mana, which is unfortunate.
Sad. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about Simic that hasn't already been said. Cool.
So I think we can move on into our first 3 color combinations.
Yeah, it's called
that we're getting
Corvold. And I think he's decidedly
Yeah.
here. Wait, sorry, I meant Jund.
Uh-huh.
I meant Jund, yeah.
Yeah,
What
I
am I
mean,
talking about? There's other people have done other stuff in Jund. It's happened. I was there.
I mean, there's some farm decks in
Zira
Jund,
Arian?
and that's about it.
Yeah, no,
No,
it's
I think the two sort of there's like the Dargo farm deck that has some cool stuff,
and then like
of
the
using
Rogue
fact
farm
that-
deck.
No, the Rograk farm deck is terrible. I was gonna say you can do like Jund Kodama has some stuff
sure.
and things. But yeah, like I think the best of the ones that aren't Corvold is the Dargo one. Just having a 1 mana 7-drop for Burnt Offering and Sacrifice and Eldritch Evolution and Birthing Pod and
Yeah.
Life's Legacy and all that stuff is, and like the fact that it like quasi combos with Greater Good,
Phyrexian
or,
Altar
like,
stuff. Like
I
actually
generally don't think you
stuff.
play that in like the Jund version of the deck. Just
Yeah,
because...
I'd agree, but it's like it has options
Why
that I'd
is
agree with.
Teamer Dargo not a thing? That feels like it could be a thing. Anyways,
Because Rograk Teamer is just like sort of takes up its spot a bit with WinCon accessibility. Anyway, yeah, I think Jund is like fine. Jund has always been fine. I think is the general thing, right? Like Prosh was.
I don't
fine
think that's
at
such a
time.
revisionist history. I don't think Jund was fine until Corvold got printed, and then Commander Legends.
well, there was
because certainly Prosh was fine for a long time, and then
there was a
wasn't fine,
brief
and
period.
then it wasn't
period
fine
where
for
there was
even
like
longer period of
no.
time.
There was definitely like a brief dip, and then Corvold got printed, and then it's just been again fine since then.
I think that dip was like a decently long time, but
I think it was a decently long time, but I think Jund has been fine for much longer than it hasn't been.
That's true.
Yeah, sure.
I think there was like a notable enough pause.
Sure, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Next up, we've got Mardu.
You do have Mardu.
Reed, you have this in A tier.
I do.
Please explain.
So okay.
Timness really good.
A lot of people
send tweet.
A lot of people think that like Farm is S tier right now. Like specifically like Mardu Farm is S tier right now, which I don't agree with, and I think that deck is like nowhere near as good as its blue counterparts. But I do think that like just the core of Mardu cards is really good for going fast right now. And like when paired with Tymna, like you give Tymna to Black Red and it just has a lot of fun going fast and doing its thing consistently. And like White sort of shores up the issue with Rakdos's like bad win cons in some ways. I think it's good.
So like, yeah, I kind of get that argument. I feel like it's hard for me to like attribute. I don't know. It just feels like the most just worse than other options in many ways, or like it just it's like I can't think of like why I'd want to play Mardu. It's like basically what it boils down to.
Yeah.
I just compare it to the other things in A tier, and I'm like, no, don't think
Really?
so.
All right. I think
think
it's
that
got
like
some
some of those comparisons are more reasonable than others, but I think like okay, I'm gonna spoil it. I don't think this is like a huge spoiler. I can't put Mardu and Esper in the same tier. Like,
yeah. All right. I understand that, but I think that like it's a bit closer than that. But I won't argue because again, I think it's reasonable to have it in either. I just think that Mardu is like I think I know a lot of people that underrate Mardu, and I know a lot of people that really overrate Mardu, and I don't think either is quite correct right now.
I think it's way more. You're in agreement that it's way more overrated than underrated currently, right?
Yeah, I think there are a lot more people that overrate Mardu than underrate it, but I think that there's a lot of people that are like counter, like whatever, counter protesters against Mardu.
Okay.
Being, or like, I guess, yeah, like they're like protesting against people saying that Mardu's good, and I think they're going a bit too far in the other direction. I think Mardu is like better than it has been in a long time. Anyway.
Cool. Next up, we have Abzan. Where we were unanimous in calling it B tier.
I think Abzan does the rule of law thing in like really well in the fewest colors that you can do the rule of law thing really well in.
Yep. You can do
I think
stuff. Yeah. You can do farm stuff. You can do multiple things in Abzan.
I think green does a really good job of shoring up the tension that exists between black and white. Like that we sort of talked about with Orzhov.
Mm-hmm.
I think that like green bridges that really well because then you have like creatures that aren't just hate bears that don't further your plan, and then you have like the access from black, and you could sort of pivot through your own hate much more easily when you have the added tools that green gives you.
Agree. Yeah, I think the reason it's not in B tier is that you start to add in more colors. The things that Abzan does just get outclassed by
higher colors.
When you've added colors, yeah.
How?
More colors equals more better.
Who'd have guessed it?
Hot takes.
It'd be cool if there was a Abzan commander that wasn't that was solid, that wasn't just partners though. That'd be cool. Sad that
but there never was and there never will be.
I don't think Gabe or Anafenza or whatever. I don't think.
Guys, remember when Carador was playable?
Oh my god.
Pepperidge Farm.
No, I don't. Anyway,
actually, I guess I don't remember playing CEDH when it was playable. I remember like hearing about CEDH when it was playable.
Yeah. Cool. And our last deck in B tier, we have Jeskai.
It's pretty good. Definitely, Jeskai got a big glow up from Breach being printed. Oh my lord. It also has like some pretty good commanders. Kikar is nice. Elsha's pretty okay. There's some like Jeskai partners stuff going on. It's got some options. It's got decent win conditions. Got good.
What about
good
interaction?
Oh no. Some people are coming back with Narset, but I think like Narset's sort of just out of the way at this point when you actually have like reasonable win conditions in the colors. I think the issue with Jeskai was always sort of that like you didn't have a good pairing of win conditions plus commanders, and now you just do with a lot of stuff.
Jeskai's the definition of just okay.
Yeah, it's just sort of like I think like all of the good like commanders and win cons and Jeskai are sort of aligned along the same axis right now, which is just sort of storm stuff, like good old manual like High Tidey Storm, except High Tide's just been replaced with Dockside at this point.
I feel like Jeskai wants the stuff that's in green or black, but it doesn't like desperately want the stuff that's in green or black.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're like, man, it'd be cool if I could play like black tutors in my Kikar deck, but you're not like, God, the fact that I like can't access whatever just makes this deck terrible, or like the way that you are in like some of the other color combinations we've discussed.
Well, that wraps up for our B tier. Now we get to move on to some of the more exciting things.
The good stuff.
I think this next one is actually very exciting, which is Dimir. We have a
it's not
2-color
exciting.
combination at A tier. No,
It's
that's pretty cool.
It's so depressing. It just
That's-
speaks to
no,
the
this is not.
lopsidedness of the colors in
Stop
this format.
being happy about this.
That's true. This is a result of Thoracle Consult.
Yep.
Turns out,
Yeah.
Consult, Nas, possibly Scepter,
Doomsday.
does a lot of heavy lifting.
Yep. Who'd have guessed?
Like, way too much heavy lifting.
Tutorable 3-card or 3 mana 2-card combo. Wow, who'd have guessed? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there isn't that much to say. There's some
Yeah,
interesting
no, it's
commanders that have like cool commander synergy, but
No,
But
there
it's,
aren't.
this is far. It's
like,
far
no,
more
but
about the 99.
I mean, there are.
yeah, that's
but
what I'm saying.
There's
It's
also
sad
there's
that they're
also
eclipsed
Kells.
by their.
There's also Kells. So whoops.
I mean,
sad
Kells
to get
can
eclipsed
do.
by just the
Kells-
better
Kells-
win cons
Kells
format.
can do interesting stuff. She just doesn't, because it's just not optimal to do the interesting stuff with Kells. Anyway,
Cool. Speaking of Demir, here's Demir
Yeah.
Plus.
yeah, this is the
Esper.
first of our Demir Plus.
Yeah.
Which is going to become a very large part of this.
We
this
have
tier
like
list going
10
forward.
left, of which all but two
One,
are.
two,
no,
one,
there's
two, yeah.
two. There's two. No, three. There's
There's
three more.
three.
than
Yeah,
Demir
there's
Plus.
3. Anyway,
Hype.
yeah, Esper does the thing that Demir does, just with Timna, which is disgusting and just makes it a lot better.
Dude, you know the crying Wojak emoji? Dude, I feel like
Yeah.
that's like Esper Zur players being he's still playable. Which he is.
He is. He's just the problem is that he's like medium on the good tier list and F- on the sickness tier list, and so there's just
Yep.
no like you don't get any points for playing Zur.
Yeah.
It's not like hipster. It's not like creative or different or new, or it's just
Yeah.
like, hey, it's that guy who people have been annoyed about existing for 14. When was Cold
Something
Snap?
like that. Oh, God.
Yeah, like-
you don't want the answer to that question.
Yeah, too long. 15 years. It's been
Yeah.
15
Jesus.
years, and Zur still finds Necropotence. That's still really good.
What are your
who'd have
other
guessed?
favorite Esper things? I liked Timna Malcolm. I thought that was pretty cool.
I think
Yeah,
Timna Malcolm's neat. I think Timna
Sakashima?
Sakashima is interesting, but not for the reasons why people currently play it. I think that like it's like because you guys were playing with me when I was playing my like Timna Ishai thing for a while,
Yeah.
and I think that deck is a lot more interesting when you also add in Sakashima on top of it.
Yeah. I think Yenet's like got some stuff. It's a bit of a meme, but like it's definitely a powerful meme. Aminatu, I wish she just was a little less fragile, but she does a bunch of interesting stuff.
She also she's just a bit too awkward. I feel like with some of
Yeah.
her
I feel the
lines.
same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've like always toyed with Verena and just wasn't really able to like for like a reanimator deck, and I was just
Yeah.
like, but I could just play more
If she
colors.
was
and
like
I'd be better.
if she was less mana, I would be like way more okay with her, but she's just like a bit
Her-
clunky, I think.
Her engine is really cool. Yeah, I think the mana, the getting to 4 and then not having like your engine online. Like I think if she came down much earlier, I agree. She's really cool. But like the whole, looting, gaining life, and then it's like, well, you're looting cards into your graveyard, you can make more zombies, and then that loots further. Like that's a really cool self-enabling snowbally engine, but
yeah.
at 4 it's just a bit
And
awkward.
one day, Urta the Corrupted is gonna make a return.
Never.
Okay.
And sealing
Okay.
that one in its tomb.
I
that
mean,
will stay
like,
in
you could just
forever.
think about it. You
I
could just
refuse.
play. You could
I
just
don't
play
need to think about it. You can't force me to think
blue-black
about
year
it.
No.
outfielder.
a blue-black Nas Consult core with the occasional uncounterable counterspell.
And we're moving on.
Eh?
Yeah.
Eh?
Next up, we got Teamer,
Yep.
which I was so
So-
reluctant to make A tier,
yeah,
but
so-
in the
so
end, I
Linden-
kind of just was forced to.
Lyndon was like, no, Teamer's not that good. We have to put this in B tier until he was reminded that partners exist and that they were like
Yeah.
very reasonable Teamer partners now.
Yeah.
Hey,
I think primarily
you
we
guys
have
stop disrespecting my beautiful dino boy.
yeah,
Calamax, hell
Morgan's addiction to anti-creature teamer decks.
Honestly, I love Calamax. Calamax is one of the few, I think, interesting teamer decks. I'm not too interested in the partners.
Yeah, I mean, so the partners are obviously like the good ones of the bunch, unfortunately enough,
Yeah.
because that's what
Yeah.
partners do. They ruin everything. So like just Thrasios plus Rograk or Thrasios plus Malcolm are just, or sorry, not Thrasios plus Malcolm, Tana plus Malcolm are just pretty good decks. They have like very good access to win conditions. They do the teamer thing. They have like decent value plans, all that good stuff. And then
Could
you get
you
like
imagine if Thrasios Malcolm was a teamer deck?
I don't want to
No.
imagine that.
They just swap Breaches and Malcolm, dude. Holy
no,
moly!
no, I refuse.
There's a mix up at the factory. Yeah, let's go. Man.
And then yeah, you get the weird stuff. You get like Calamax, Animar, Paka Halden. I know Morgan's seething inside to have Calamax mentioned in the same sentence as Paco.
No,
But yeah, I mean, it's
dude.
just like they're all just sort of like mid-rangey creature control value decks. You know, they'll do the thing.
Calamax, the ultimate counterpick for Brawl, dude. Morgan just likes picking decks that counterpick Brawl.
It
It's
beats you to
beautiful.
death.
Yes,
and it does
see,
everything.
I pick CEDH decks. Baral is counterpicked.
Exactly. Yeah. A double counterspell, dude. Brawl just fucking seething over here. Giant
just can't deal
beater.
with it.
Yeah, no.
I can't deal with a 7/7.
Yeah. I'm dead. Okay. Next up is our first 4-color combination. So this is Dune Brood,
Yeah,
better known as Sans Bleu.
yeah, I mean, Blood Pod sucks and has sucked for a long time. But you know what? A lot of colors is pretty good still. Who'd have guessed? I think
Blood Pod isn't the better thing to be doing. I think it's I think it's the Pet Cemetery thing.
I think it's either like you're doing Reanimator stuff, you're doing Hulk stuff, or you're just doing Turbo stuff. I think are like the three things that you want to be doing in
I
these colors
really
right
did
now.
not like the way you said Reanimator. I just want you to know that.
Reanimator stuff?
No, you said it Reanimator, and it made me uncomfortable.
You know what? It's good.
He's a big fan of Mater from the Cars.
Exactly.
Movies. Yeah. Okay, I don't want to talk about this competition for too long. I don't know. It's just solid. Yeah. And then our last thing in A tier, we've got Ink Treader or Sans Black.
Yeah, value Thrasios is a tried and true strategy, but I don't know, it just doesn't hold up to
I think it's funny that we look at Dimir as a single 2-color combination that makes it into A tier, and we look at our 2 4-color combinations that are in A tier, and they're missing blue, and one is missing black.
Yep.
You know, it speaks volumes as to what's the really important thing to be doing in the format right now.
Yeah. Value Thrasios is just, it's fun. It's fun to play, but it's not particularly like the best thing to be doing IMO.
No.
You just
I think
once you get up to this level of deck, wasting a commander on colors in your partner's deck is just like so rough, you know?
Well, give Zerda partner, guys, come on.
Especially because you're wasting your commander on Boros.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there was a better partner than Bruce, dude, imagine if Zerda could be your partner, dude.
Dude, if Cole had partners, so I could play Cole Thrasios.
Oh god. Okay. Yeah, so that does it for A tier. I feel like this is kind of a boring tier. Just a bunch of decks that are almost like good enough.
Everything
honestly
tier up is a boring tier.
Yeah, we were like, let's start at the bottom to like build suspense, and like now that we're here, I'm like, this was incredibly predictable and also not like.
I said this at the beginning. I said this.
I know
in planning. I was like, no, we should definitely work our way from the top down. It's gonna be a lot better. No, we're gonna know. Exactly,
I mean, I don't know that it actually would have been better, but.
Okay.
I mean, it would have been a bit more suspense.
We've got Grixis. Let's talk about Grixis.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Baby,
let's talk about you
Grixis.
and me.
I I mean,
Best
Grixis
Grixis commander on 3.
Oh
1,
God, we've done this? I'm not
3.
doing this.
Inala.
yeah,
Oh, man.
I think Anala's just too good.
Are you still on Cast Morgan?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I mean, they're all really good.
I think Anala
They're
just has
both
like
really good.
the best hybrid of like the good one card win con style, plus just being able to play good shell outside of it.
I feel like Anala has just been losing stock as people like figured out
How to
how
play against
the
it.
deck works.
Yeah.
Like I feel like an Anala cheesed wins by people just being like, I don't understand what's happening, and then they died. And
Yeah.
like as the awareness sort of rose, people realized it's like I don't know what to counter, so they like held counter spells until it was too late. And then like people rose are like, oh, you can actually just counter like literally anything of the first like 4 spells, and the deck's dead in the water, or like the combo's dead in the water.
I just think that the deck, the combo line has gotten so. I remember when Inala was first came out, and like Spellseeker Lions were, took people a while to get to where they are now.
Well, because
and,
people
honestly, they're really
want
nice.
to
I mean,
Wanderline
Spellseeker came out decently long after Inala.
Yeah, I think it was like 6 months or like half a year afterward. So
Battlebond was I want to say Battlebond was late summer 2018. It was early summer 2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so like people,
I think that it took a while for the lines to get refined. Still, is what I
well, the lines like the lines weren't actually. It was almost a year because Commander 2017 was late summer. Anyways, the lines weren't actually good until the printing of finale of whichever one it is. Promise.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Which was in War of the Spark. So like 2018 or whatever that was.
Something like that.
And I think people picked up on it reasonably quickly. Oh, sorry, 2019. Like once that card was printed, people picked up on it.
Yeah, I think HISP came up with a line like, reasonably fast after that.
Well, I remember we were talking about
nice
it on the way to GP Niagara, which was like the May long weekend of 2019, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So that would have been like just a couple weeks after the set came out.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I think the lines are nice.
That being said, I think
room for counter magic and protection.
For a long time, though, Grixis was like the epitome of great colors, shitty commanders.
Yeah.
And I think still to a degree it sort of is that, but I mean, at this point the colors are so good that it's just like you put a ham sandwich at the command center, does insane things.
I don't know what happened to people's brains where they think Kess isn't a good commander.
I think Kess is a good commander. I think Anal is a good commander. It's just like they're not like insane. Like they're not insane cards. They're good commanders for the colors. It's just like I wouldn't classify them as like insane cards on the level of some other stuff.
Sure, yeah, like they're not like build arounds, but I think as a value commander, Kess compares reasonably favorable to like one of the good partners. Obviously not two of them, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think like Anala is like really the only like good build around, quote unquote, build around commander in Grixis, and it's barely a build around commander.
Unless you count like Malcolm Vile as like built around because of the.
Yeah, but I honestly I don't really think Malcolm Vile is super great when you build around it, because like if you don't build around it, then it's just a Turbo deck with a with a Glinthorn.
Sure, I'm just saying. I mean, being able to consult for your one card win con.
Yeah.
That's kind of dope. Yeah,
pretty strong.
Cool. Anyway,
moving on.
Perhaps the last vestige of interesting discussion.
Yeah, out of this entire podcast.
Yeah. So we've got Sultai, and this is the last time when we have Descent. So, Reed, do you wanna start? You have this as A tier.
I do have this as A tier. I think that Sultai still has issues with having shitty commanders. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. I think still really
is good enough.
I don't. I think that it has like real issues with having commanders that are actually like very aligned with the strategy that it's going for. I think that you sort of want to be going faster than like Bug specifically really wants you to be going right now. I think you want it like you want like it to be like a quarter of a turn or a half turn faster than Sultai is really geared for in Commander and 99 cards, 98 cards. I think Thrasios isn't super great as now in that deck as like a standalone, especially with the banning of Hull Breacher, so you can't Neoform into Hull Breacher out of it. Tevesh is like sort of rough. It's a fine secondary commander if you have like a good primary. But I think that it doesn't quite do enough on its own. I mean, I've certainly seen Tevesh take over games and ult and like just end the game with a spot, but it's also a bit expensive. Doesn't really immediately cash in on stuff a lot of the time. It's just
I
it's
have problems
just
with Tevesh as well, but I think
just
the
has
99 is
issues.
so
I think.
good.
I don't know why we're
99 is
not
so
talking about the best Sultai commander of them all, though.
Arkelos? It's definitely Arkelos.
Damia.
Moldrotha the
Oh,
Great.
boy.
Of course, yeah.
The bug commander that uses the least good bug cards.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Zer's Weirding is a great bug card.
Pernicious Deed? Hell yeah, dude.
I think actually like
I think-
probably the best. I think like probably actually the best bug deck right now. I think has to be like Food Chain with Chemo for me, and that's barely a bug deck in the way that it functions. I don't know.
But it is a bug deck, and
It is a bug deck. Yeah.
Tasigur will continue to be fine.
It's always fine.
The disrespect for Thrasios Nadir, guys, I just can't handle it.
We took it to the
I mean,
ML.
honestly,
We took
I
it,
think
yeah.
that I think that like that deck built to be like I have mine built as like a reanimator thing, but I think if you build that deck to just be like Nas consult, it's also like pretty fine. You just
Yeah.
have like
Basically
it's like it's a Nas consult deck with like a pivot that's good into specifically like a Null Rod.
yeah. I think what I'm boiling my opinions on bug down to right now is that like it just doesn't have good enough, and it sounds terrible. It just doesn't have good enough layering with Nas outside of playing Oracle.
Does not have Dockside. Okay.
Well,
thanks.
it doesn't have
We
Dockside,
get
doesn't
it.
have Breach. It doesn't like have the Storm side of Nas Consult. So you're stuck playing this very like linear combo Nas Consult list with like that green doesn't super support all that well. Obviously dorks are really nice, but like green doesn't add many win cons or like additions to
adds-
the win suite in those colors, and like the commanders still aren't great, so I don't know.
It adds some of the best cards in the format. 1-mana dorks.
Yep.
I don't
I
know.
mean, it certainly adds some staples and some dorks, but I think that's about it, unless you like start straying away from the Nas console stuff and go into Reanimator or go into like more creature based combo, which I think is like a bit worse right now.
I don't know. I think that having the slightly slower Nas and then not just losing when it gets countered is like pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I don't know. I guess agree to disagree.
Yep.
I think Sultai belongs in S. But moving on, we've got 3 4-color decks in a row.
Wow, who'd have guessed?
We've got Glint Eye, aka Sans White. Triple S across the board.
I mean, if Grixis is S tier and this is like Grixis, but you also get to play Thrasios. So
can we just
get
bunch,
them all out in
Can
one?
we just
Yeah.
get them all out of the way? Because it's like
I was done. Let's move on. That was all I wanted to say.
We have Glintai, we have Witchmaw, and we have Yortiller.
It turns out
Sans
that
red, your tiller is Sans green.
Yeah, it turns out that blue black plus 2 more colors, pretty good.
And with good commanders in all of these colors. Just, busted. Who'd have guessed?
And last but not least,
Turns out that blue black plus 3 colors
is also insane.
You get not 1, not 2, but 3 extra colors. Call now. So yeah, 5-color. Honestly, 5-color ever since almost the inception of CDH with like was Scion. I guess it wasn't at the inception.
It was
but
Scion,
Scion
Hermit Druid,
5-color, right? Hermit Druid. Just
Hermit Druid was like
5-color,
weirdly hard to
99
win with for a surprisingly long time.
Yeah, you had to do
Yeah.
weird like Angel of Glory's Rise stuff to get it to.
Well, but like
actually
even
work.
Angel of Glory's Rise wasn't actually printed like
Yeah, it was
that
actually
long
yeah,
ago.
fairly recent as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, turns out just playing Canadian Highlander, it doesn't even matter if you have a commander, it can be really good. And then when your commander actually does things and is a combo piece or it's a value engine, it's just stupid.
Yeah.
Watsy,
Pretty
please
much.
stop.
Please stop printing good
Please
5-color
stop, for the love
commanders.
of God.
Nobody
Guys,
wants
remember
them.
that time? Remember that time that I said that Kenrith was extremely unhealthy, and it was just largely overshadowed by the fact that partners were even more unhealthy.
Yep.
Yeah,
Still holds
yeah.
true.
Mood.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's too much to say. Is there any? I guess we would probably move if you were literally just playing Canadian Highlander 99 card deck. Your commander is never cast. 5-color still got to be like upper A tier at the very.
I mean, if you're
least, right?
playing like actual Canadian Highlander, where like life total and mana base pressure are more of a thing, then like that's
certainly
less
worse.
true.
Yeah.
No,
like-
I mean, just you're just playing 99 cards, no commander.
Yeah, the 5-color is just busted.
Yeah, then 5
Obviously.
colors just busted.
Yeah.
Because there's no pressure from commanders to actually provide any value to the deck, so you just go straight to 5-color.
No, I was talking about you're playing against commander players, but you're not playing a commander.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying that like when none of the other color combinations have like pressure to exert in the commander sense, you just
The
go
cost
straight to 5.
in a 4-player free for all 40 life format, the cost of playing extra colors is so low compared to the payoff.
Yeah.
Especially when Dockside exists to make people not play mana base hate anymore.
Classic.
Yeah, well, that's
Just
our
disgusting.
list. Is there anything I guess
You wanna make
interesting that
any
we could
adjustments?
add on? I don't think I want to make any adjustments. I was gonna say, what do you think if we could have a double S tier or like S plus tier or something like that? I think a selection of some of the commanders would fit into that, but they're dragged down into S tier by the rest of their like. I think like Nagila is probably like the best 5-color commander, right?
I mean, I currently I have been playing with Cody. I still think Cody
Oh,
is
yeah,
like
Cody, you
obnoxiously good.
I guess yeah,
Um,
we'd say Nagila and Cody probably.
And I think Kenrith is also like very reasonable, but Najeel's probably better than Kenrith. I don't know. Najeel's sort of in a slump right now. Do we want to get into that discussion?
Maybe
At
save
an
it
hour and
for
40
another
minutes in,
episode,
probably
yeah.
No,
not.
probably not.
If
Maybe we
Leovold was
can-
free, maybe he'd be
Freevold,
double S.
Nagila special episode 1.
double S plus plus. Oh,
True. Okay, well, I think this episode's been running long enough. I hope you guys liked our tier list of colors. Let us know where we messed up and rated us that your color combination in pet deck got dunked on and that it really should have been triple S tier.
I'm gonna be a lot nicer than Lyndon. Let us know which parts you didn't really understand. Just where you guys are wrong.
Yeah, so we're skipping the gut check and listener question this week because this episode has run on long enough. So yeah, that wraps it up for this episode. If you guys would like to reach out to us with any questions, comments, or concerns, you can contact us on Twitter at IntoNorthPod, via our email, intonorthpodcast@gmail.com, or on our Discord server, the invite link for which can be found in the description for this episode. An extra special thanks to all of our patrons who help cover the expenses for our show and allow us to work towards improving the quality of the podcast. If you too would like to become a patron, we are at patreon.com/IntoNorthPodcast. Another way you can support us is via our TCG Player affiliate link. So anytime you want to purchase something from TCG Player, if you use our affiliate link, which is in the podcast/YouTube description, a portion of your purchase goes towards supporting the podcast. Thank you as always to the band Vox Cadre for our lovely podcast music, to Nate Slubber for our equally lovely podcast logo, and to our review editor, Manta Ray Hat. Next episode will be out in 2 weeks.